Hello, everybody. My name is Pearce Joza, and I am doing an interview with the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press. Today I am happy to be joined by Pearce Joza. How's it going?
Very good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. I know we were just talking a bit beforehand, and you're back in North Carolina for the holidays. Hopefully, everything's been going well for you these past couple of weeks.
Incredibly excellent. Yes. Lovely, lovely time being here with mom, and very relaxing.
Before you get back into the swing of things with new
Y-
projects, hopefully in the new
yes.
year.
Yes. Well, but yes. We've got a few things going on, so it was a nice respite, shall we say.
Exactly. Well, that's what the holidays are for friends and family, good food, relaxing. We'll jump into a few of your projects, though, which I'm very excited to discuss. We'll start with your most recent one, I guess, and that is Yafania's music video series. How did you become involved with this project, and what interested
Yeah.
you about being a part of it?
Yeah. Well, shall I tell a little story since it's an interview? Not that this is super exciting. Now I've gone and promised too much before I even tell the story. But I so Yafania's team had reached out to my team prior to the strike. Now we had a big double strike, writers and actors strike in 2023, that we're still recovering from, unfortunately. And we had just gotten the dialogue started right before it hit in like July of 2023, and then it hit, and we there was nothing we were able to do for so long, months and months and months. And so we had to cease conversation. Not that there was really much that we had already. Um, just an initial email or two. And then come about January, because the actor strike was settled after the writer strike in late December, if I remember correctly, 2023. And so anyway, so I was in Moab, Utah. I was in Moab, Utah. Beautiful area. And I was on a little mini, like, micro vacation there with my girlfriend. And um we happened to wake up and we were getting breakfast, and I got an email saying, "Hey, from my manager, hey, they've reached out again, and this time they want to go right now unless there be another problem. So here's a ton of information about it." And we hopped right on it, since there had kind of been a prelude, I suppose, to the actual really getting down to the brass tacks, I suppose. And So Yafania sent this like amazing lookbook, and I mean, it was like 12 pages. A lookbook. Wrote a handwritten personal letter to me, describing herself, her music, how she wanted to kind of be seen, and then additionally describing the project, which is actually where she attached the lookbook. So I opened like the 2-page letter. I'm like, wow, how incredible is this? Then I go, what is this link? And then it's another 12 pages of of mood boards and character descriptions. Truly excellent and very impressive. And so after I took a look at that, which was in that email, I drove back to where I was staying at in Colorado at the time. We had a literally meeting the next day. I'm not kidding you. And then it was history. Then I was super on board. I was impressed by her team, and I thought it was going to be an excellent journey, which it has been so far, and it's not done. So,
I think what's really impressive is the ambition, right? She basically sent you
yeah.
this proposal to say like be a part of this project. And I was just speaking with her the other week, and she said that you were always on her and her team's radar. You gave like the perfect boy next door vibe, and I think that really comes through in the videos, which we'll talk about in a bit. But you mentioned the next day connecting with, I'm guessing, was it Yafania and some of her team? Like,
Yes,
was
yes.
there an ongoing discussion after that first meeting to better understand her story and these lyrics? Like, did you have any questions for her?
Um, I'm trying to think back to remember if there was anything uh, specific. I talked about well, this is not a great answer for an interview, but we did talk about more private things that I won't share because those are her things, but a lot of private things that influenced her. But I will tell you this: when I went up to Vancouver to shoot the music videos. Um, her team and her mom actually and her had this genius idea to for us to kind of spend a few days together. So we spent kind of like 2 days, day and a half together, just doing whatever. So we and I lived in Vancouver for 2 years when I was a kid, doing it. So I know the area. I'm a local. Um, uh, and so we went to all the different places that I used to go to the restaurants that I used to go to that she knows very well. So, living there, and just spent time together. No talking about the music video, no talking about, whatever, just kind of one-on-one hanging out time. And that was so important. I truly can't stress that enough. And so that was a great idea from Yafania and her team's bag of tricks, I suppose. And it really does work. And I mean, just getting to know each other kind of on a personal level, on a little bit more intimate, and like, hey, we're not just like business, handshake type of deal, is super important for being comfortable on set, right? It's a love story, right? It's dream romance pop, baby. Come on now. So it's you have to be comfortable. You have to know, the person. You have to trust that person. While you're playing characters, it's still what it is, and that was invaluable, especially, and it was extra special being in a city that we both kind of knew. It was kind of magical in a way. It was really cool.
It's so cool to have been able to build that rapport and have the time to do that before you jump into, filming as your characters. And can you expand upon your character about the right guy, what we've seen in the right guy and don't you want to be with me? Like, how did you kind of shape and see him? What did you want to play? And did you create any details or discuss them with Yvonne that we maybe don't see on screen in the first two parts?
Well, I'll start with this. As per usual, I watch something that I've been in and I go, oh no. But I think for the most part, it's really good. And from a personal perspective, I just wanted to make it natural, as kind of as normal and natural as possible. Um, I really I didn't want to go too charactery or caricaturey with it. When I don't think I did. And they agreed. Yafania really agreed it should be as down to earth as possible. The director is just amazing director named Saeed. Oh my goodness, he's so amazing. Agreed with that as well. And so every time, so we had a meeting about that. I should mention with Saeed and Yafania, and where we kind of discussed how I wanted to go with the character. Everybody agreed, and so every time that I would get a little too big, both of them would we just readjust. We would do another take. We would come from a different angle that was a little bit more grounded, down to earth. The stuff that was kind of going on behind the scenes with Ifanya, what it was um, it was more or less her vision that if there was plenty, of course, since it's not my music, that I wasn't 100%, understanding of, as anybody, would be, even after, working on this for a while. And so the conferences would be, okay, what can I do differently so that I portray, your vision better? For example, in The Right Guy, there's a shot of our shoes, and which is very important to the lyrics and important to Yafania for a, a way bigger reason than I would ever have known if I didn't ask and if we didn't talk about it. And so the literal shot of our feet talking at the lockers had to be done like multiple times because of the way she wanted it to look. And we did a take, and then I asked about it, we talked about it, and the entire performance of our literal feet changed after we discussed. So I mean, it's little things like that that really make the music videos special.
And for you, it's so great to be curious and wanting to better understand this. And it only kind of helps you fill in any blanks that you may have had. As she also mentioned that there were some Easter eggs in the video, like in your character's room. She said that there were maybe some posters from some of those kind of personal conversations that you had about your likes. So
Oh
how
yeah.
nice was it to incorporate these little touches?
Yeah, and that was another really impressive thing that she did. And very that is a seasoned action as a person, creating this world, and creating this art. Yeah, so during one of the first conversations, it was probably, I think it was, I'm not kidding you, the day after I'd gotten back from Moab and gotten, realigned with everybody, um, that we sat down for a talk, and she was like, well, I have a ton of questions for you. And she did. She had, I think she just texted me a picture of the initial stuff the other day that she had written down. Kind of cool. She said, "Here's my Christmas gift to you." And it was a cool Christmas gift because I got to see all her personal journaling about what she wanted to ask. But anyway, one of the things she asked was, um, she was like, okay, what are your favorite movies? Why? Explain them to me. And she got herself in a little bit of trouble because once I start talking about movies, I don't stop. So anyway, so we talked about some of my most favorite directors, my favorite movies, Interstellar, a lot of Chris Nolan movies, a lot of Tarantino movies, a lot of I talked about Casablanca, which is one of my favorites. And talked about why, talked about the structure of the film. So she took all that information and decided we got to condense it down because you can't have me just sitting there talking about movies because people would walk away. But she incorporated them into my character's life. So she put them up in with a set of my bedroom, or at least some of them. Inception was another one that I really enjoy, another Chris Nolan movie. That she incorporated kind of right in the middle of the frame there in my bedroom as I sort of wake up and as I get ready. There's a quick shot, so yeah, that was really impressive, really impressive. And like you said, you're right. It added to the comfortability, added to the understanding, and added to the detail, which was really incredible. That was fun to walk into that set.
I want to talk about your character and how his feelings for, Yafania's character, the girl, have evolved over the first two parts of the series. Like, how would you describe those emotions for him and any doubts and hesitations in linear order? Because when I was speaking with her, she let me in on the note that there is a bit of like a jump in between the videos and what happens, from, when she loses her bag to the school to returning the bag later on.
Right, right. Well, yeah, well, the way I try to approach it, right guy is takes place at a certain point in time, high school. We're both still younger, literally like physical age younger. So there's a little bit more of a naivete, I think, at least from the right guy's perspective. And that evolves. I when trying to kind of mold the bridge between the two music videos that are out so far, um, I wanted to make sure that the right guy sort of had a visual difference in his mannerisms, in his body, in his face, in his I'm going to use the word aura, even though that's kind of ridiculous, but because he has learned, all of a sudden what it's like to not have what he was too naive to realize that he wanted. And so when she leaves me on the bench, when she leaves the right guy on the bench and leaves her bag, it's a kind of a get out of jail free card. At the very least, I get to reconnect with her, even though it's just a hug. At the end of that music video, right? You get at least the opportunity to not completely walk away from one another, and then going further, you get the ability to ask, don't you want to be with me? And the right guy says it. I mean, we worked for way too many takes it took me to get the words out of my mouth correctly on set. And so I did my best for there to kind of be a visual shift while not being, overwhelming. So
I love hearing that perspective. And it's always so, interesting to place yourself in your character's shoes, especially as you're kind of not necessarily filming in linear order. So being able to come back to that point in time. And I know it kind of did line up with the audio of this track, Don't You Want to Be With Me, when he asks her in the school hallway. And I just have to say, she's talking about, the right guy, and chivalry really shouldn't be dead. He's there helping her with her books, returning her bag. And she was like, oh, this is such a great guy. And it's like the idealistic persona there. What words were being exchanged between these characters towards the end of Don't You Want to Be With Me in the school hallway when he catches up to her before he finally, admits those feelings and asks the question?
What was I saying? I was saying all sorts of stuff. Initially, got myself in trouble by joking around, and then that didn't fly. Because it was ridiculous and didn't read is the whole point. But what was I? So eventually, when I stopped goofing off, I remember kind of drawing from a place, a personal place, from a relationship years and years ago when I was young. And not that I'm not young now, but the back does hurt in the morning. But no, years ago I was in a relationship, and I remember drawing from a place where I there were questions. I was asking questions, which is kind of counterintuitive because she was the person the whole time singing, "Don't you want to be with me?" And then it sort of flips on its head there briefly for a moment, and I'm the one who kind of gets to ask the questions, which means we're both coming from the same place. I just haven't spoken it yet, and that is sort of the moment where I get to, or the right guy at least gets to show that he is feeling the exact same way. He's asking the same sort of questions, and so I drew from a place, personally. So I sort of went off on an improv and started talking about our time together, which was fabricated, but I got to kind of make it in my mind, and sort of intertwine it with my life. So it was more personal to me. And I talked to Yafania about this on the day, and so it sort of molded into a interpersonal, well, also fabricated emotional state between the both of us, where it kind of flips on its head and I start asking the same questions that she's been asking the whole song.
It's interesting when those lines kind of blur for you, I'm sure, but I thought like for what we saw on screen for that brief moment, it was a very kind of tense moment. So it was very well acted, well played by both of you.
Right.
What
Thank you.
can you share about what's next in the story? I know she didn't want to give away too much, but she did say there's typically more than two chapters in a story. So what can you say about that?
Well, um, nothing because she might kill me. No, I can.
Sign
There is
that
more.
NDA.
There's more. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Well, I'm sure there's more. There is more. It is it's a bigger story. And I'll tease this. It's bigger than I'm making it even out to be, which is great. And it's a great honor to be a part of it. So, incredibly excited. We shot a lot of, what's going to be put out, all at the same time, right? That is scheduled to be put out all at the same time earlier this year, and I can only say that for a few more days. All in the same few weeks. And that really, really helped the chemistry between the music videos that we've kind of been talking about a little bit. But it's so the more to come it will definitely have that same vibe, shall we say. And that's all I'll say because if I continue talking, I don't know what's going to happen.
You're like, cut me off now, putting the
Please,
foot down.
please.
But I'm very excited to see what's next for these characters and, of course, their story. How is it working opposite Yafania as your romantic love interest in these videos, but also spending time with her, creating this content, like you mentioned, getting to know her a bit and knowing that this is her story?
Yeah, it's incredible. It is such a blessing to meet somebody, new in this industry who's doing something new in this industry. And, this was her first big project, and the way she's handled it, like I've continuously said, very impressive. It's a pleasure because part of it is I get to kind of share my knowledge. She was a little bit unfamiliar in regards to how things are shot. But and trust me, I'm unfamiliar with how things are sung. So, I've done a few musicals, but that was all under the love and care of people who, helped me a little bit. And she's doing it, all on her own. Not all on her own, but, way more on her own than I did is the point. So, anyway, but she was unfamiliar with some of the ways that things are filmed and some of the ways that things are handled on a set. And I was very appreciative. Number one, that I was able to give my knowledge and I was able to soak up, by observing her work from a musical perspective. That was that was a really cool part. But that's with everybody, right? I mean, it's when you get to work with somebody new, it's a pleasure, especially when they're so lovely like Yafania is. So
She did mention how supportive you were on set, and she was so involved as well creatively, co-director.
yeah.
She
Oh yeah.
styled herself and you as
Yep.
well for the videos. Tell
Sure
me,
did.
tell me about the creative team behind the videos, specifically working with your director Saeed, as you
Hmm.
mentioned, and also cinematographer Darcy.
Oh man, yeah. Oh my God. So Saeed is this is incredible, incredible director. When I see him next, I have to get him to work on my Arabic with me a little bit. When I went to school, I studied Arabic. I'm not very great, but I can definitely speak, slowly. I can speak slowly. So anyway, it was such a pleasure working with him. My God, he has such a strong vision, and he's such a powerful director to work with, even though he's not, like, oh, he's not overly loud or energetic, or hyper, I guess is the better word, but he is very particular, knows exactly what he wants, but isn't afraid to readjust and uh, continue along that line of direction. And that is, in my opinion, very important as a director, and very important for an actor, to have a person who is very set in their vision and correct about it. And nobody's correct 100% of the time, but that's the beauty, to readjust and continue along that side. He's incredible. And then Darcy, just what an incredible cinematographer. Truly, I love cinematography, as I talk about movies for forever. He was Darcy's so go with the flow, and it is, I'll say, under pressure. We're filming a lot of places that we have to get out of by a certain time. As any project, I have to get out of by a certain time. We had only had one shot for. There was a specific shot. It was a shot with the bus. And I believe it's in the right guy. And we had one take to do it, one take and one take only. We would never have gotten it if we didn't get in that one take. So you have Darcy running across the road with a little sheet of bounce, a little bit of a white sheet, and as the bus is coming down the road, and we're prepping to go, and he made the shot perfect. So it's incredible to have a person who can just roll with the punches like that, especially a cinematographer, who has the ability to make it look great, under pressure. And that was, there was a not insignificant portion of the music videos that was shot that way, just because it was called, that's what was called for. And I know Yafania and her team chose Darcy for that reason.
Do you have any other memorable stories that you can share from filming, or is it all of these kind of moments that build up into that experience for you?
Oh, I'm sure. Oh my God, there's like a million different memorable moments. I don't even know possibly how to choose one. Um, oh God, I mean, that bus one's pretty good, because the story was literally, we were like, go across the street. Okay, Yafania Pierce, walk. And it worked out perfectly. And there was actually dialogue that we had chosen to do in that scene that nobody heard, of course, but that kind of had to time up with what we were doing. Oh God, what's a memorable? I'm gonna say this just because it's kind of an inside joke, and anybody from Canada, especially, I guess anybody from either Toronto or Vancouver area will get this. There's a restaurant called the Cactus Club Cafe. It's absolutely excellent. I recommend anybody go there if they're in the area. And I have probably eaten there 1,000 times. And Yufanya, her mom, and her team really enjoy, and Saeed even, really like, eating there as well. And so it was cool to kind of show up, and nobody knew about each other before we got there. And the first night that I landed, we were right there at Cactus Club Cafe, so that was a huge blessing. And we went like more than a few times during the longer stint that I was up there for. So that was cool. That was fun. Another way, and that was even on our off days, right? I told you about the day and a half, 2 days that we kind of got to just hang out. But then there was time like, okay, we have an off day here in the middle. We're hanging out. We're going to Cactus, or we're going to Granville Island, or we're going to, pick another spot. Down by the water, down whatever. Kitsilano Beach is another place, that we went. And by the way, we coupled that with a Cactus Club Cafe visit. All right, listen, we went to the beach down there, and then we said, "Oh," I said, "Oh, I see a Cactus Club Cafe." But anyway, another great way just to keep up, that repertoire and that rhythm.
Definitely. And I think, yeah, there is a Cactus Club Cafe right by the water there. I mean, what's your go-to order there? Or do you
Oh,
rotate
it's
between
this.
some
It's the steak.
favorites?
It's the what is it called? I believe it's called like the Millionaire's Cut of steak, even though it's not that expensive. Because or I wouldn't be ordering it. I think it's called the Millionaire's Cut. Do you know if that's what it's called? I think it's a filet mignon cut of the steak with asparagus, and then it's got these lovely mashed potatoes on there. But before that, I will get a Caesar salad every time, and then a cranberry juice to accompany the whole thing. And so that's the order. That's usually the order. There's a lovely kale salad there if I'm trying to feel, a little lighter, a little healthier. And then that's really all I ever eat there. I have eaten other things, but that's my you just stick to it. I stick to it. Okay, I stick to that. I don't want to confuse them. I say, oh, Pearce is
It's like,
back.
don't fix what's broken, right?
If
Hey,
it's
if it's
not
a
broken,
classic,
do
yeah.
not fix it. No, yes, yes, that's right. Very good point. Yes, yes, that's a very good point. Yes. So when I get in trouble for eating there too many times, that's the letter that I'm going to pen to send to them. I'm going to say, listen, you're just too good, and it's not broken. So, you know, I'm still going to come. But yeah, there you go.
Did you have deja vu coming back? Like, had you been back to Vancouver since Mech X4? Because that was like 7, 8 years ago before you returned in the spring.
Really long time ago. You're right. Yeah, I had been back once, but that was still a long time. It was about 6 years ago. I hadn't been back since then. I'd only been to Toronto, and I'd lived in Toronto for about a year. And I'm sure the next time I go there, I'll have deja vu because have been a while. But yeah, going back to Vancouver, boy, oh boy, I spent so much time there as so young, which just formed me, shaped me, my mind. Yeah, I mean, I stayed in a place called White Rock. I lived in a place called White Rock, which is not particularly near Vancouver. It's actually more near America. As I understand, you can paddle from White Rock Beach to America. There's an island out there that's technically in America. But I spent so much time in the city, so yeah, I mean, I could get around with like out of GPS. Basically, I knew where I was walking pretty much all the time. So it was more of a deja vu, but it was more of a kind of just like, oh yeah, I know this place, kind of slipping into a different skin. And I'm trying to think if there's anything that really surprised me. Oh my God, you know what did surprise me? Not that anybody will particularly care about this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. So on Granville Island, which is near-ish to Vancouver, it's just under a bridge going to was it the Kitsilano area? Anyway, but anyways, this little island down there, and they had this little tchotchke shop, and it was a actually, no, they do still have it. I apologize, but it's called like the Dog House, I believe. House spelled in German. And they've got like stuff for cats and dogs and toys and trinkets and whatever. And years ago, my father came up to visit me, and he got a mug from there. It was a big old coffee mug because he's a big coffee guy. And it said, "I heart my cat," because he has three cats. And so he broke it recently. And when I went back up, he's like, "Oh, you got to go get me a thing there." I was like, "You got it." And they no longer sell any mugs of any kind in regards to parting your cat. So that was a bummer. But I did find a different shop down actually it was Granville that had something, but that was unbelievable. So that was a disappointment.
It's like
Don't
it
forget.
ended on a sad note. I thought you were gonna say like they had the same mug. Um,
No, they didn't, and I was so sad about that. But I found something new and fresh, and I guess it does seem at the end of the day that's what was needed, a new a new shot of energy into the coffee world of my father, because that's interesting to talk about. But yeah, so that was a little journey. But I did that on my off day. I was an off day that I spent completely alone, one of the only ones. And I was like, I've got to get in an Uber and I've got to go to Granville and get this item, and it wasn't there, and so I had to search around. But I did found something.
Hey, I mean, you did come back with a gift for your dad, so he can't be
Yep.
mad about that. And it was the
Yep.
effort that counted.
Yes, yes, it was. Yep.
Let's move into zombies because you are known for playing Wyatt in the franchise. What has this character meant to you in both your career and a personal standpoint?
Yeah, Wyatt has been one heck of an amazing ride. Oh my God. Yeah, I started playing Wyatt when I was 16. And I am still playing him, and I am 22. Technically, I am still playing Wyatt. There's an animated series we said season 2 hasn't even come out yet. That's airing frequently on Disney Channel and at XD and Disney XD. And when I started playing Wyatt, not a lot of people know this, but I initially was, I told my mom I was like, I'm not gonna do the audition, and my manager I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. I can't dance. Like I can sing, definitely enough to hold my own, but I sure can't dance. And the requirements were to choreograph your own 90-second, or maybe it was a 60-second routine to a certain song. And I looked at that and I went, no, I'm just gonna make a fool of myself. And my lovely mother said, I don't care how long it takes, we're going to figure it out. You're doing this audition. I feel so strongly about it. And I said, all right. And she pushed me for 12 hours. It took me 12 hours. I'm not kidding. It's an actual number. It's not exaggerated. It took me 12 hours to put together the routine. Um, and oh my God. And at the end of the day, it was not amazing, but it was enough to show that I really did try. And then there we go. That got me in the door, and I never had to dance again until they taught me how to do so. And now I can dance. A lot of prep goes into those movies and a lot of hours that are never ever seen, and that's okay. I mean, that's the whole point. But now I can't actually dance, which is great. And so how amazing. So anyway, so Wyatt, playing that character, he definitely had a change between movies 2 and 3. There were definitely two different vibes. But when I showed up for 2, I the point of it was to kind of be this cool kind of guy, a little mysterious, even if I could go that far as to say that. And But he's always got this good heart, and I always talk about how hopeful Wyatt is that everybody gets to integrate together, and there's no holds barred on being a family, even though you're not related. And so yeah, and then for 3 came back for 3, and he was definitely the same way. But his relationship with Eliza kind of took over more of the storyline, which was amazing. And um, kind of having a virtual relationship was challenging, as I'm sure many people in real life understand. But we got to kind of play the comedy there a little bit, and which was super fun. And then that movie was as big as it's gotten so far for the series. And I know they have a 4th movie coming out, which I'm really excited to see. So I'm certain, I'm more than certain that the legacy of zombies will continue, and Wyatt will forever remain doing ridiculous things in animation.
Tell me about the Disney family, the friends that you've earned from this franchise.
Oh my God, yeah. We all stay in contact. There's not a person, that's not in contact. I've gotten to I'm really close with Matt Cornett, who plays Alan. Who was also on, another show that was pretty popular, High School Musical, the series. And he's such an incredible guy. And yeah, he and I, we've lived together actually. We were roommates for a while, for like 6 months, I guess. And I see him so frequently, probably almost every day, when I'm living in Los Angeles, which is, I guess, the majority of the time. So we see each other frequently. He's a guy who's been there for me in many different ways personally. He's an incredible talent, and I can't wait for the industry to pick back up so we can really start doing more different, new, amazing things. And then the other person that I really am connected with is Meg Donnelly, the famous, the infamous, some would say, Addison, and she's so incredible. My God, her voice is incredible. She's got this, this new album coming out, as I understand, and she, these new songs that she's already released. And that's incredible. It's incredible to be around her as a person as she's creating her music. Another reason why, getting to work with Fani is so amazing is because I have been in and around making people who make music like for a living and for their passion, which is not me. Um, I can strum on the guitar pretty good, but not, anything, of course, and so I have an affinity for that and a respect for that. She's incredible as a singer, as an actor, and above all else as a person. Meg is just this incredible person, and people say that a lot frequently about her, and it's just something that people just know off right immediately. It doesn't take more than 2 seconds to know that she's kind of this soul that's very, very unique, very special, very rare. So she's an incredible person to hang out with. And yeah, and so yeah, I do have a family forever, which is not what I thought when I was choreographing something for 12 hours straight. Right? But such is life, and it's exactly what zombies is all about. It's like it is, these things happen. Life happens whether you want it to or not. Wherever you are, it's going to surprise you. It's going to you know, your feet will continue to walk on the path of life, whether you will try to resist it or you try to go with it. So yeah, so this family has just been incredible, and it is a pleasure to keep playing him, even in a smaller way. It doesn't feel smaller to me. Really, it does not feel smaller to me in any way. It doesn't feel any less important, and I don't think it is to me or to anybody else creating it. Part of it has been a part of it, who will be a part of it. It's a part of the story. So, uh, and that story is something I love.
We will give a shout out to the show that you've been referencing, which is Zombies, the reanimated series, which, like you mentioned, a second season is coming. This is a bit of a two-part question. So, number one, which was your favorite scene to be a part of and why? And number two, which was your favorite song and dance number in the live
Oh,
action films?
yeah. Wow. Boy, oh boy. Scene in the live action film. So many options. All right. I'm gonna tell this story briefly. I'm sorry, I keep going off on tangents, but you have the editing ability. So there's a scene. Well, so this is kind of a two-parter. So my favorite music video is called "To the Wild." It was something that was very heavily featuring Wyatt. It was something that was intimidating to me as a 16-year-old who hadn't really danced a lot before, had now by the time of filming it, plenty of training, but still, it's the first real thing that I'm ever doing uh, professionally, and needs to be done, or else it doesn't really fly. Um, and it featured my voice heavily, and it was very important to get that right. And so what's hilarious about it is I contracted bronchitis about the second week in Toronto. I'm not kidding. Totally true story. And I have like the literal papers to prove it if anybody ever asks. But I went to a doctor and he was like, oh, what did he get? He like, oh, he did the stethoscope, or not the stethoscope, that's the other thing, but the camera that goes in the back of your throat, whatever. And he's in the light, he's looking back there and he goes, "Ooh, boy." I'll never forget that. So I was pretty sick for a while trying to record, because we recorded them right when we got to Toronto. We were recording these songs. So it was a bunch of honey and hot tea. And it ended up working out. And something I was really proud of. I was able to push through that. And so hearing my voice, which was played back to me so that I could sing along with it, which was out loud and live on the day, but just for a pacing, from a pacing standpoint, shooting this Call to the Wild sequence and this music video, that was so special to me. And that was the first music video I believe that I had shot on the film. Uh, uh, and that's actually not true. We had done half of uh, We Own the Night by that point, but I hadn't finished it. So really, it was my first real dance anything. But the scene, you may ask, that you have asked, I suppose, was actually a scene literally right before Call to the Wild starts, and I'm talking with Addison, I'm talking with Meg, and this is when I knew we were really gonna get along. I kept trying to make her ruin the take and laugh. So, um, there's a scene right before we start walking up and to the top where I'm kind of singing to her, and right before the take, I would just say the craziest stuff. Not anything like, derogatory or anything, whatever, just like the most random things you could possibly imagine. Like they were ready to go, and I'd be like, all right, porcupine, here we go. And, just whatever, just like the most insane, things that you could possibly imagine. Uh, and I would try to make her laugh. And there's a this warms my heart. That's every time I see it. And she just texted it to me the other day, which was lovely. I like how she does that, very cutely. But she texts me some things sometimes, and she's texting me a video somebody took. I don't know who it is, and it is not very good quality. So I think it was recorded from a very far distance away, a very long distance, and it's a video of us right as we're about to shoot, literally right as we're about to shoot. And you can see me. I lean over to her. I say something in her ear, and she goes ha, and then they start the thing, and it's kind of just a lovely memory. Oh, I'll never forget that. So that's lovely, and it's yeah. She just texted me that video specifically just the other day. Might have been on Christmas actually. And so I think about that all the time anyway, but lovely to revisit it. So that I guess that's my favorite scene.
That's so sweet. And it's so nice to find people who can be like these lifelong friends with you. And speaking again about, you mentioned Matt, did you reunited with him and Terry for a film earlier this year?
Ah,
Is that,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that is totally true. And that film, you can watch it on Zumo TV. If you're curious. Yeah, Karma's a bitch, man. Which is the title of the movie. Not just me having a moment. No, it's yeah, it was so cool. We have this mutual friend who is this wonderful actress, like truly just another talent that I'm so blessed to know, Isabella Blake Thomas. Her mom, Elizabeth, directed the movie. Isabella wrote it. And oh my God, that was so fun. And the movie looks really good. And which is not, I wasn't sitting on set going, this isn't gonna shape up right. But we shot the movie in 9 days, an entire feature in 9 days. It was really hard to do that. And that is like really challenging. And here's a full feature length film. And yeah, so for example, Zombies 3, uh, just because that's the one I remember better time wise, was like almost 6 months, like in total to do it, which is rare for a movie, more common for musical films, just because of the all the prep required. But yeah, 9 days was the quickest movie I've ever done, I think. And it was incredible. Yeah, and both Terry Who and Matt Cornett were in it with me, and that was God, that was so much fun. And my fa if you're wondering my favorite memory from that set, which you may or may not, it was when Matt had a really big truck at that time, a big old Ram TRX, huge, gigantic, literally named after the T-Rex type of truck, and he ran over a generator, and on that set, yeah, that was a good one. We still joke about that. It ended up actually they repaired it. I kid you not, they repaired it, and it was fine. But yep, he sure put the whole tire over that thing. Anyway, that was my favorite memory. But yeah, that movie's incredible. My God, I'm so proud of that. Just because a thousand reasons, but we don't have time to get into that. But yeah, it's an incredible movie. Yeah.
I definitely would want to get into rolling over the generator and how that happens. I mean, I guess with a truck that big, you just can't see everything below.
Well, super briefly, we were filming this scene in this cabin. It is the scene in the movie. If anybody's ever seen the movie, my character uh really has a kind of a mental breakdown as we're all kind of hanging out, we're drinking. Um, he's had way too much to drink, and he because of some interpersonal stuff that happens in the movie, he completely goes off the rails, acting like a horrible person, very violent, or not very, but violent and whatever. And so he hurts somebody, then he storms out of the house. Anyway, this cabin was like really small too, and so it was on purpose to get the shot of us all really close together, and it worked incredibly well. I mean, super duper well. Elizabeth had this incredible vision for this. Anyway, but this cabin was like up out in kind of like the the mountains of Cal. I don't even know, like way past Silmar in California. If anybody knows that where that is, but it was like up near like these ranches, like dust. We had to walk up this whole thing, and so Matt had asked somebody on set if it would be okay to drive his truck up there, and they said, "Yeah, sure. What could go wrong?" And it was like I said, it was such a small area, and this cabin was built on the cabin was small and was built on such a small little piece of land. He was trying to turn this freaking car around, and he's like, I don't need to look at the backup camera. Junk. And I think that was the generator. And it sure was. And it sure was. Yeah, he rolled right over that puppy. And that's that story, I guess.
I
But it was really
mean,
fun.
these are kind of the memories that you also keep during making it, right?
Oh,
And
oh
you
my.
come back to, and you can laugh about it now. They repaired it
Yeah.
with Matt.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
so Zombies 4, Dawn of the Vampires, like you
Yes.
mentioned, you're excited to see it.
I'm so
It
excited.
is expected to be released in 2025. It was announced that Chandler and Kylie are reprising their roles as Willa and Eliza, respectively. And these characters have both been intertwined with Wyatt. So, I mean, fingers crossed for an appearance or mention. But if you are not in this installment, what hopes do you have for him in this franchise in the live action format?
Yeah, you know what? Disney has done. Here's how I always answer that, and I have been asked a sort of a version of that before, and not quite how you said it. And so here's my hopes for him. I haven't been asked that before. Well, here's something that I'm very hopeful for, and I think is going to happen. Number one is that he gets to live on for forever, and I'm pretty sure that's going to happen. I don't see any reason that it's not going to always be a part of the of Disney. So that is kind of an honor to have something that I created live on forever, and the way I portrayed Wyatt to live on forever, and for people to find enjoyment from it for hopefully forever. But going forward, Disney has done such an incredible job so far. I'm not trying to interfere. Whatever they want to do is what they want to do. And I don't know what that is. That is all them and Joseph Light and David Rasso and the people who wrote it and created it and Gary Marsh and all these incredible, really incredible talents, people who've been working at Disney for a very long time, creating iconic thing after iconic thing. I don't want to get in the way. I hope that they continue doing what they feel is right. I will be there to answer the phone, like the bat signal. I'll be there to answer the phone or see the bat signal in the sky if ever the situation requires that. But it's been like I said, it's been a pleasure to see so far what they've done with it, which I think is incredible, and very hard to continue to make amazing things. But that's their job. I mean, that's Disney, and that's how incredible they've been, and they've always been lovely to me, and everybody that surrounded me at Disney, for many years, starting out on Lab Rats, actually was the first thing I ever did, when I was 12. So that's 10 years. Yeah. So, 10, a decade. And they've been nothing but excellent as creators, excellent as people. So I hope, that, and I don't see any sign of that stopping. And that's the hopes that I have.
Well, here's to hoping the doors open in the future, but you'll be ready whenever they do call. And it's so nice to have been part of the Disney family for 10 years. What can you
Yeah.
say about the fan support that you've received, especially from Zombies fans over
Yeah.
these
Oh,
years, the longevity of it, really?
yeah, it's to this day. I mean, of course, and we're still doing some stuff, but, um, Uh, oh man, it's just like something. It's something that is such a privilege because few people will get to experience it in their life. Something like this. Um, there was a time that I think back to when we did the second movie and we went to New York to do a big press thing, press junket. Really is what it was because we did just a billion different things. And we did a thing which is very famous in New York called the Build series, which is a sort of a live audience interview. And when we walked out of there, so it wasn't publicized that we would be there. it was anonymous who was going to be there. There was multiple interviews that day. And we went in the morning, and it was probably 10 a.m. by the time we were done. And then we went left. We were walking out, and nobody, including me, didn't really expect there to be a whole response there. And there was like the whole half of a block in New York was shut down because of the people who were, and that was just only the first movie had come out at that point. Who were so excited to talk to us, and I promise you, everybody there was equally as excited, possibly even more so, to talk with the people that without whom we wouldn't be here. If nobody watches, you don't get picked up, you don't get renewed, you don't get to the privilege of making a character last for forever, immortalized in some ways. So that was a memory that's a memory that I go back to a lot, just because it was so shocking, just because it was totally not expected. Sometimes there's definitely going to be people there. You're not any less grateful, of course, but it's just it was such a surprise, and what we thought was going to be like a short day ended up being like 1,000 times bigger than that. And so that was incredible. And there was nothing but pure love and excitement there, which is just the best kind. I mean, there was everybody was interested. I love talking to people one on one. For quite a while that we stood out there and signed and talked and so on and so forth. So that was cool. That's a cool memory. And a version of that continues every day that I wake up.
Well, the beat goes on. I still see you tagged in edits and videos and all that stuff on Instagram. So it's always such a nice reminder to be a part of this. We will talk about Under the Lights now, which is a feature film you have in post-production. You returned and reunited with Miles Levin and his story. So tell me about reprising your role of Sam and getting to explore this character further.
Yeah, that was a wild journey, and that we shot that this year, and that there's plenty of stories that I could go into there. Without giving too much of the plot away, since it hasn't released yet, and they're still working on finishing the film. Um, uh, yeah, so when I was 15, I have a wonderful friend who is really talented. Again, another person that another reason why I find it so pleasurable to be in this industry, because you meet so much talent. Her name's Alyssa Jarrells. She um uh she was on Mech X4 with me, and she lived in a place in Northern California as a young child, before she moved to Los Angeles, a place called Sonoma County, a little about an hour above San Francisco. And she did community theater there. And Miles is from the same place. He'd written a short script that we had absolutely no money to do. Uh, but then that's how it goes, right? That's okay, and that's what I love about it. But anyway, he'd written this short script, and sort of semi-autobiographical, and in other ways not as autobiographical. That's why I say semi, about this young man who just all he wanted to do was to be normal, to go to prom. Even though he had this condition, he had epilepsy, and he was light sensitive and sound sensitive and stimulus sensitive. All he wanted to do was be normal. And uh, in a short film, you don't have a lot of time. You have 10 minutes. We had 10 minutes to try and tell this entire story of this young man. And the great pleasure was that we'd done apparently just enough when I was 15 years old. We shot the entire thing in 3 days, and it was a short film, so that makes more sense. And that's the reason it was 3 days. But yeah, there was about no budget. We shot it in our friend's garage, his family's garage, um, which is so insane to think about. That friend that I have now is doing amazing things, and he should be working on us with working on a project with me and another colleague of mine. We've got funding finally to do a pilot, which I that's all I can say. I literally can't say another word. But we're going to shoot that in March, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say. And that's super exciting. Anyway, but this man is incredible, and he was the cinematographer both for the short and for the feature. And anyway, when it comes out, people will be able to see. But anyway, that was his family's house, and they just up and left, somewhere else, so we could shoot in their garage. People could stay in their home, and at the time, you were shooting the short, which was 7 years ago, I guess. Um, you are not really expecting to, you are expecting for it to be successful, but you know that the success of it is partially in your hands and frustratingly not in your hands. So, yeah, we for years and years we actually fought and struggled, right? First there was COVID. We were literally ready to do a short, and then but you hear this story from everybody. I just not that this is on the same level particularly, but the new Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown with Timothée Chalamet. He gave this interview that I was just watching the other day, and he was like, "Yep, so we were supposed to go for COVID, then that didn't happen. There was strikes, and that didn't happen. It was the same thing for us, and plenty of other, films and television shows. We were ready to go for a feature in 2020. Didn't happen. COVID, everything shut down. Come a couple years later, I finished Zombies 3, and then we're ready to go. Something happened. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think I had an injury that I won't go too into depth with, but it kind of postponed things just enough so that we hit right on the nose when it was time to do the strikes. So that was too bad. And eventually, as things are meant to be, we get to this feature film with incredible people. Tanzyn Crawford, this amazing woman. My God, she is such a good actress. Wow, wow, wow. Tanzyn Crawford plays opposite me, as well as Lake Bell, who plays my mom, Sam's mom. That's my character in the feature. And you get this pleasure of finally getting to expand this story more than 10 minutes, way more than 10 minutes. And so you kind of get the ability to really shape out Sam's story. Ta well, I was on a podcast just the other day, and I was talking about this, and I said, and I really, really like what I said, so I'm going to say it again, which was, you get the when we came up to shoot the feature, I worked a couple, like maybe a week with Tanzyn Crawford and Miles Levin, Levine actually, which I didn't even know up until recently, which is bad on me. Miles Levine and myself, we all sat in this rented out little studio for like 6 days, just working the script, hours a day, and you all of a sudden you sort of just understand that like, oh, wait a minute, this is magical because it's a true story in some ways with Miles. It's real, is the point. It is not something that it is very it's a departure, right, from song and dance, from something like Zombies, and even something like Karma's a Bitch or something like that, right, which is a different style of story, not worse, not better, no, it's just different. So this being what it is, very grounded, very real, very honest, very emotional, very intimate with the character, and not in a sexual way, but a very heart-wrenching way. And knowing before you even shot one frame of film that is what you get to go into, um, I thought for a moment, I went back. I had a moment when we were up earlier this year, when I went back to my hotel room, and I was like, I might feel intimidated. And I woke up the next day and we did the same thing again. And that brief thought the night before never existed again. There was no intimidation. It was just um, pure joy is not the word, pure enjoyment, I suppose. Uh, even in the scenes that were really hard to shoot, scenes which required, a lot of physical accuracy, energy, for a seizure or other things that I'm not going to give away because it gives the plot away. But specifically talking about the seizures, it has to be accurate. It has to be, it's high intensity. Not a moment that it wasn't there wasn't a bit of enjoyment still lurking around somewhere in my body as I was focusing on what was going on. It's always enjoyment. And so now we've got the movie finished. My ADR is done. I believe most other people's ADR is done or will be done very soon. I've seen a bit of it. Um, and it is, and you may absolutely quote me on this. It is the thing I am the most proud of doing ever in my life so far.
Had you been in contact with Miles on getting to revisit Sam after the positive response from the short film? Because you mentioned being ready to go in 2020 with the full length. I know there was some crowdfunding done as well, but ever since the short film, like, was there always a hope in the back of your mind, in the back of Miles' mind, to have you return as Sam?
Yeah, yeah. It was. I believe I was always going to return as Sam. Well, if we had another strike, maybe not. I would have been a little too old, but yes. I kept in contact with Miles pretty much constantly. Um, and yeah, there was crowdfunding. There was other funding. There was all sorts of funding, which we got really lucky. Man, it costs more. You get on set and you go, oh man, this is gonna go exactly how we planned it, and it doesn't because that's just how it goes. And we were so lucky to have the resources to do the right thing. It is. I mean, we went, like I say, for the short, there was like no money. There wasn't really money to do that. It was a lot of pro bono work, which was fine and is the point to get us to where we are now. And something I, hope lasts forever, that you can make something like that, and it turns into something beautiful. The investment, pays off, in a beautiful way anyway, I guess. But yeah, yeah. So, yeah, Miles and I had been in contact and we'd been talking about the script. I'd seen many iterations of the script. And I'm sure he worked on double, triple the amount that I'd ever seen. Um, it's exactly what it was meant to be. I don't think we were meant to shoot in 2020. Don't think we were meant to shoot in 2022 or 2023. Um, and so yeah, it's a blessing that we are done. It's done. We were able to have the funding. We were able to have people. We were able to have Lake Bell, Mark Duplass, Nick Offerman, Randall Park, Tanzyn Crawford, this amazing young lady, and I guess me. I guess everybody will have to decide if I did a good job or not. But um, yeah, I am very excited for people to see it soon, and get to see, you know, the physical manifestation of what we're talking about.
Well, the short film was so remarkable. You were great in it. I can't wait to see what's next because that um for all those watching it is available online, but that scene on the
Stuff on
bathroom
YouTube.
floor where you're watching Sam put his sh own shoulder back in place, it was so heartbreaking to watch, but then it felt so authentic as well. What additional work and research did you do in between the short and the feature to be able to portray a more complete and nuanced version of Sam?
Yeah, yeah. I haven't really talked about this widely, but I shot a documentary that is going to come out. It is not finished yet because it's all of a sudden this just, I swear to God, just in the past like 3 weeks, I had a meeting with a team of people who I'm not just ready to talk about yet, but it is true that we had a meeting. I talked about this uh, this documentary that I shot in between uh, the short and then the feature. Um, and it is solely about epilepsy, the families, the people, um, and then the disorder itself. Um, and it was unfortunately because of circumstances that rhyme with Rovid. It was never able to come out, and it was a challenge for sure to sit with knowing that so many people gave me their time, and their energy and their stories, and I have not yet been able to come out with it. But literally 3 weeks ago, I sat down finally with this amazing group of people, and I do mean amazing when I say that. It is something that I'm very proud of, and we're going to finish it. We're going to get a little bigger with it, but it's which is great, and I'm not something I'm complaining about by any means. And it's going to come out. So that was a big thing that I will say, even though nobody's seen it except for me and a few other people, um, that I did. That was, and I don't really think I've talked about that too much publicly, like at all. But it was like months and months and months and months of traveling this country, Atlanta, Rhode Island, New York, North Carolina, funny enough, before I had moved there. Oh my God, where else? California, San Francisco, I could go on. Meeting with tons of doctors, epileptologists, neurosurgeons, moms, dads, people who have it, old, young, the organizations trying to help. You know, it was unbelievable. I don't have epilepsy, but there's no doubt that I'm a part of this community now and will be for forever. Uh, and just from that standpoint, the pure uh, waking up every day for months and months and months, breathing it, interviewing, talking about it. I went to college campuses like Northwestern. I went to Princeton, I believe, among many others. I would just straight up cold interview people on the street and talk about it, talk about epilepsy, and or or other seizure disorders, things relating to it, whatever the situation called for. And the amount of knowledge that I gained from that, there's like no better way to do that. And I'm very excited for people to see that. It's definitely a labor of love and excellent. So that is the biggest thing that I did in between the short and the feature. Now there was some other private things that I did that I won't talk about, and that's okay. And that's what that's meant to be. Um, Between Miles and I, between other people and I who have asked to remain nameless, and that's absolutely okay, and that's their wish. That was more of an intimate uh, tailoring of my character of Sam. And so but those are sort of the things that happened in relation to the feature.
Thank you for sharing all of that. I really appreciate hearing that. And it's something to be connecting with people who epilepsy has affected firsthand, like the emotional, physical well-being, understanding relationships, seizures, everything that you can take to broaden your knowledge, but also help your character and have this be an authentic portrayal. Tell me about the importance of Sam's helmet and having that as a core piece of your character and his identity.
Sure, of course, I would love to. So the helmet is different to everybody, and that was the point. Miles, wanted it to be that way, and it it was more than just a want. It was that way because that was its truth. Was it a shield? Was it a uh, was it a part of his power, taking back his power? Was it a transformative item, saying that, oh, I think I need this, but then I end up not needing it. It ends up not being playing the role that it was meant to when it's tossed off at the end of the short. Um, Same with the blindfold, but the helmet obviously being so iconic in a way. To me, I took it playing it as it was a desperate attempt to convince himself that, oh, if I just do this, it'll be fine, right? And it's, oh, I'm duct taping the earmuffs on, and I'm helmet. It'll be fine. And it was kind of a way for Sam to distract himself from the larger picture, which he ends up in the short. And then you'll have to watch the feature to see exactly how it works out there. But in the short, to find himself through his disability, which he was the basis is that and I believe like I said, the helmet is a catalyst for him saying, I am this thing. And then of course going to finding, through his struggles, and all we had was 10 minutes to show this, that it certainly isn't that, um even though the disability would like you to think it is that way, you are not that thing. And it just never has been that way, never will be. No matter how much you convince yourself that it is, that is you, you are not that. It does not have you. You have it. It is very perspective oriented thing. But that, like in real life, of course, that's where it draws from. That is the truth. And so I do believe that helmet, in my opinion, was his way of distracting himself. And then Molly at the end of the short was able to show him, of course, that it was a perspective oriented situation. So there you go.
That's so well said. And there's something about like, a proverbial safety net. And obviously with the feature, we'll be able to better explore those layers and the struggle then. Hopefully the a bit of a kind of resolution and understanding he comes with this helmet, which I know will also be a part of the feature. You
Yes.
mentioned the cast, Lake Bell, Tanzyn Crawford, who will also be in the Game of Thrones prequel series, I believe,
Yep.
Randall Park, Nick Offerman. How was your experience on set? Getting to interact and play opposite these actors. Maybe we'll notably focus on moments from when the cameras aren't rolling and behind the scenes because we obviously don't want to divulge anything that will actually happen in the film.
Well, I mean, there's no question. I think anybody, most people would understand that the amount of learning that you get as a young actor from these very accomplished people is you know very rare. It's very unique, very uh, out of body sometimes experience. I'll have to say that I haven't talked about this really at all publicly either, but Lake Bell, who played my mom, she's in quite a lot of scenes with me. Really, and I don't even think she knows this because I haven't really mentioned it to her. But she has really shaped how I act, how I approach acting after that. Now, there's a noticeable change, at least in myself, as I've been working on a few other things. How I've changed since working with her. This woman is beyond incredible as an actress, and the way she understands art is unbelievable. Behind the scenes, she is absolutely freaking hilarious. She is a very light person, very enjoyable to work with, hang out with. She's really kind. She has a personal connection to it. And so it was really wonderful to work with her. I had a lot of scenes with her, and with Nick Offerman, who I worked with quite intensely, and people will see, you know, that when they watch the movie. Nick Offerman's lives up to his reputation. Very, very funny, very wry, dry sense of humor behind the scenes. The first words he ever said to me were, "You're Pierce, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh boy!" But of course, he's absolutely hilarious, and he's nothing but himself. And then his acting is it's just pure. I mean, it's like watching a professional golfer. Just get out there and shoot 18 like it's nothing. And So he was incredible. He brought so much to our film. Same thing with Mark Duplass, who had a very important and integral role in the movie. Another amazing actor who has just, like I said, he's it's a Michael Phelps all of a sudden walks onto your set, and you're so blessed to do that. Just a consummate professional, and just the best. So amazing to work with him. My God. And Randall Park, also very, very considerate, very kind. Of course, an incredible actor, but beyond that, so willing to roll with the punches that we threw at him because of his character. I had to be very specific, and a lot of things had to be changed that day. And he was a very, very kind and calm individual that day. That was very crazy. That I won't give away, but people will see. And it had to be very specific. It had to be changed a lot. And he was so willing to roll with those punches and so good at it. You can be willing, but it can be sometimes hard to. Not a step missed. Uh, not a moment given away from him. So he was incredible. And then Tanzyn, I cannot say enough about her. Boy, she's good. She's just so good. She's young. She is like she is really kind, which is amazing, to work with. But more than that, she's so dedicated. There was like multiple times I was like, "Let's go get some food after," and she's like, "Absolutely not. I'm going to learn my lines for tomorrow." And I was like, "Okay." I mean, that's uh 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 so admirable. My God, she was just locked down. She made sure she had the amount of sleep that she needed, and maybe she wouldn't be super happy with me telling everybody that, but I can't imagine, that's not a bad thing, Tanzyn, not at all. I mean, it's so incredible to watch her work. and the dedication and the like I said, rolling with the punches. It's I said at the beginning when we started talking about Underlights, there's a lot of stories I could tell. It was definitely a crazy production in a lot of ways. And every single one she rolled with as well, and she was in a lot of the movie, a lot of the movie. And she rolled with every single thing. Everything turned out the way that uh, even better than the way that we thought it was going to. So these people are amazing.
You're getting me so excited because of this work, and it's there's nothing like watching artists in their element. I'm sure you as well, and you soaked in so much, and I'm sure you also, you're the lead character, so it kind of is by example, and I'm just really looking forward to it. As we round things out here, what can viewers expect and take away from this movie? Like, especially because I know you're so involved with being a part of the story and how much you've learned about the stigma of epilepsy.
They can be expected to be entertained. The very important thing that I and Miles and the other people working on the movie wanted to do, and I believe we definitely have achieved this, was to um the whole point is to use film as a medium to teach. But that means that it has to be a story. It has to be entertaining. You have to be entertained. Otherwise, you're just being professed to. And that's not the point of the story. The story is a story of a character and characters, and it is an entertainment. You are to be entertained, by this movie. And then when you leave, you will find yourself, um, uh, you know, there's no taxation on the person watching, which is the worst when you make a film to have the audience leave and go, oh my God, I need to go take a nap. That's not what's going to happen. You will be entertained, and that achieving that while being able to have people leave and through no obligation of their own, talking about the film and talking about epilepsy. If it's introduced to you that way, that is the goal. It is to uh, reduce the stigma. It is to, people walk out understanding it, better just because they'll watch this story, and the brain does these things automatically, but it is not somebody sitting there and professing to you, and that's was very important that not be, not that that's a ridiculous example, but that is not at all the vibe of this project. No, it is a film, it is cinema, it is a story, and so that's what you can expect.
I know that you've done work and content over the years with the Epilepsy Foundation, conversations about epilepsy, reading interviews that Miles has done. He's so proud of the work that you've done for the community, for his community. Did you say hopefully is a release slated for 2025 now that it's in post-production?
I would say that is more than a hope. So I promise nothing, just because we all know things could happen.
Don't make those promises you can't
Do.
keep kind of
But
thing.
exactly, because who knows? But Stephen King's The Fog might roll in, but we'll have a new thing to deal with. But yes, that is more than hope.
Now that you have been acting for around 10 years professionally, but have been immersed in the arts since you were young, how do you stay creative and passionate about your craft?
A great question, actually. You know what? For me, it's a lot of I have a real want to um, prove to myself, it is not easy to be, an actor, for reasons that it is not easy to be a, surgeon. They're very different. But for me, I'm not going to be a surgeon because I can't do that. But what I know I can do is I can act, and so I have this drive, to uh, prove that to myself more than really anybody else, which I think is good. And so really the way I go about doing that, every time I approach a new opportunity, a project, an audition, a meeting, and whatever, um, I do my best to remind myself of what I have succeeded in life, what I am grateful for in life, I found when I was younger, I would often struggle and it would hinder me because I would be, I would get upset if I, didn't get something or if, the meeting didn't go well or, and all the things I would think about all the things that I haven't succeeded in. And that's the killer. And that's kind of the same thing as sort of a perspective shift as well. It is you have to look at it from like, oh, these amazing things that I have done while coming up against, harsh, conditions or, people or, you know, um, difficult, times. I mean, there's, I didn't work for the entirety of 2020. Nobody did because of COVID. The strike, I didn't work at all for 8 months. That was hard, and was hard for a lot of other people too. And so, but it is easy to kind of take these things and see them as failures when they are not, and when there's way more success because it's for every like 1,000 things that don't go your way, there will be one, and that is just how it is, and then is structured that way. And frankly, in most things in life, so the success is weighted and should be way more than not. So I try to so every time I come up against that perspective, I still have definitely a fire and interest in doing what I know I can do. So.
That's great motivation to live by because it can be easy to slip into being a bit too self-involved. So it's nice to take a step back and now that you've kind of found a rhythm and remind yourself, and I'm sure surrounding yourself with good family and good friends as well. I know that you mentioned you do sing a bit, you play guitar. Has music ever been something on your mind now that you've, been in music videos, you've had friends who are musicians?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said no, it hasn't been on my mind. But as of yet, my mom was just asking me about this the other night. But as of yet, it as of yet it hasn't come to fruition. And what I mean by that is it's not something that I'm like, oh no, 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 not for me. I don't know yet. For the moment, there's other things that are taking precedence, but those things always change, like whether you want them to or not, like we were saying earlier. And so I don't know, maybe, but truly at this moment, there are no particular plans. I think some people know. I don't even know. Maybe I haven't really talked about this, but I've written songs. I've written, I've composed different things, I guess, musically, most of which I'm not proud of and I hope never see the light of day, but some of which I am, surprise myself. But, um, the work on my acting is 99.5% of my energy, I guess, professionally. Um, uh, and to do that, I mean, I would, if I wanted to do it, I think I would want to do it 100%. So, or 99.5 at least. That would come with a paradigm shift, but it's not something I wouldn't do for any reason that I can think of. So how's that for a non-answer?
I like it. Hey, this is you rolling with the punches. You never know what's going to come your way. I know, based on this long conversation, there's a documentary about epilepsy in the works, a secret pilot. So you clearly have a lot on your plate right now, and I'm excited to see where you go within the next year. I have our signature question for you. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, thank you. I would love to answer this question. Oh, mint chocolate chip. Always been my favorite. Um, I don't even know if it like fits my personality, I guess. How do I even decipher that? I don't know. But mint chocolate chip, I don't want to be tasty. And not that other ice creams aren't tasty, but mint chocolate chip. That's the one. My mom's favorite, my favorite. Every time I go to Cold Stone, I get that. And uh, it has such a special place in me, in my heart, in my mind, and my heart. Just, that's always what it was. Never anything before that. It's never been anything in the middle of that. It's always been chocolate chip. So I'd like to be, that mint chocolate chip. What about you? Wait, hold on. What would you be? What is
I
yours? Do you have
hate getting
it?
asked this question because it kind of, well, it shifts a bit for me, but my go-to pick is typically like green tea, matcha. It has the
Oh
Asian
yeah, no, no.
influence. It can be like sweet and
Yep,
a bit like kind of bitter
yep.
at some point. So I
I do
really
like
like
it.
that flavor.
I do like it. No, that's a great answer. Okay. All right. All right. Very good. Very
Great
good.
way to end things off, Pierce. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat. You've come a long way since playing pretend in your backyards of the Colorado forest. So it's so nice to see where your career has taken you. Can't wait to see what's up for you in 2025. Until then, for all those watching, you can catch Pierce in Yafania's music videos for The Right Guy and Don't You Want to Be With Me. They are out now. Stay tuned for Under the Lights, and we will see you next time.
Thank you.